West Ham must start Evan Ferguson tomorrow against Everton. Against Everton? That's not right. Against Everton. That's the one. Everton Ferguson. There you go. Here's what Graham Potter said about him yesterday. He said he's where we expect him to be when he came in. He came in as a young player who's had his time out of injuries. That's a little bit different to what Potter was saying. So basically, the transfer window, if you remember, finished on the 3rd of February. On the 1st of February, Ferguson played. He actually played against Nottingham Forest. They got thumped. Brighton got dumped 7-0 or something like that. Potter was asked afterwards, is he ready to play? He said, yeah, he's ready to play. He made the point. He said he's just played. He said he's been training with Brighton and he's just played in the Premier League against Nottingham Forest. We're now, obviously, nearly 6 weeks away from that point, and he just doesn't feature. He just doesn't play. Now, I started to wonder, what was the point of signing him? Was the point of signing him just to cover in case we got any more injuries? Because the fact of the matter is, we already had 2 big ones. We already had Mikel Antonio, who was injured, and we already had Niclas Füllkrug, who was injured. So I thought we were signing Ferguson so as he could play whilst both of those guys would be out. The reason it's important is because Fullkrug is back. He's not going to play against Everton, but he'll be back for our next game against Wolves. So realistic, that's why I'm saying this is the last game where you could probably say that Ferguson should be starting. We'll get to why that is in a minute. So I think he was signed to cover Fullkrug's and Antonio's injury, but he hasn't covered them at all. So was he then signed just in case Bowen or Kudus get injured? Well, if that's the case, then it does seem rather bloody pointless, because that wasn't why he joined, by the way. Evan Ferguson was really pushing to come to West Ham for game time because he wasn't getting much game time at Brighton. Fabian Herzler seemingly doesn't see him as at least the short-term answer to Brighton's attack. So the whole point is he was going to come to West Ham to get game time. And West Ham was saying, we need him, come here, we'll play him, he'll get game time. But it just hasn't happened. Now, I honestly couldn't tell you whether the guy is good, bad or indifferent. I did think he looked very desperate just desperate to impress, sort of just clutching at chances, trying to make something happen, shooting from a ridiculous distance. Because he was aware against Newcastle, he's had such a finite period of time to try and impress. And basically what he's done is Ferguson seems to have swapped the problem that he had at Brighton for the same problem at West Ham. With Fullkrug coming back, he can't expect to play anymore, because that would be weird. So West Ham own Fullkrug. West Ham bought Fullkrug for, depending on which reports you choose to believe, anywhere between 24 million euros to 27 million pounds, but whatever. We paid big money for him, right? He's on good wages. Fullkrug's admitted that himself. And I think from the glimpses that I've seen of him, he seems to be a decent player. In fact, I do believe that Potter was dealt quite a bad hand, really, because during his first game, he played Fullkrug. Fullkrug lasted 13 minutes against Aston Villa, helped set up the goal. And looked, if you look at how much Potter used Glenn Murray, it's easy to then think he's going to use Fullkrug. And the fact he selected him for his first game and he looked good, I suspect he was going to carry on using him. So it made sense to me that if Fullkrug was out, then he was going to go and get another target man to play that way. Now, one of two things is correct. Either he doesn't want to play Ferguson, or he does. But he's either, if he is too injured to play him, then why did we get him in the first place? I suspect he is able to play. I suspect he's just got to the point where he's just not playing. I just think, what's the point? I just don't understand what the point was. Because now we're in a situation whereby if he does start to play him, then it's going to be at the detriment of Fullkrug, which is absolute madness, because we need Fullkrug to either... One or two things going to happen with Fullkrug. We're either going to keep him in which case we want to get him up and running, we'll get him integrated to the team, and he's going to play a really big part for us next season, in which case he has to play now, or we're going to fatten him up, not I'm talking metaphorically, going to fatten him up for the kill. We're going to basically get him fit, get him firing, so as we can sell him, so as we can make it attractive to those Bundesliga clubs and say, look, all right, he won't play against Everton. 9 games left. So with 9 games left, what would you do? It's the only thing to do. Would you play Evan Ferguson and basically get him fit for Brighton? But basically, there's no obligation to buy. There's no option to buy. None at all. So you start to do Brighton a favour now? Or do you do West Ham a favour by looking after our own player? Of course, there would be a different thing, which is if you believed that Ferguson, not you, but if Graham Potter believed that Ferguson was better than Fullkrug, that if Ferguson was brilliant, then it might well be the guy to play for the last 9 games to push us up the league. But if Graham Potter honestly believed Ferguson was brilliant, he would have been in the team already, right? Maybe he does think he's brilliant, he's injured. But if he's injured, what was the bloody point? Because that's not what he said before. Personally, I play Fullkrug. Don't get me wrong, I'm arguing in this video. Ferguson has to play against Everton tomorrow. After that, Fullkrug has to play. Yeah. Unless there's something we don't know. Unless Ferguson plays against Everton tomorrow, and somehow he does really, really well against Tarkowski and Branthwaite and O'Brien, and does really well, which is going to be tough. It's a tough bunch of defenders to play well against. And somehow we can negotiate a future purchase, and he looks like he is going to be a West Ham player. Unless any of that happens, there's just no point. Fullkrug has to come back into the team. Fullkrug has to be the fulcrum of the West Ham team going forward. He really does. I do want to see more attackers though, and I'm not. I mean, we can't do anything. What's gone is gone. And maybe, just maybe, excuse for Potter here, maybe he intended on playing Ferguson, and actually what he's seen in training, and he just thinks that actually Bowen and Kudus are the better options, but he's doing Bowen no favours at all. We're doing Bowen no favours. Bowen has got a couple of goals for Potter, but he's not been playing well and did not play well against Newcastle at all. He needs to go back into his normal position. He really does. Or as close to his normal position as Potter's 3 at the back system will allow, but there's still room, there's still parameters within that for Bowen to play well off the right-hand side and a little bit deeper. It's a shame because you feel time is wasted. We could have told him lumping the ball up long to Bowen is not going to work, because we've seen Lopetegui try it. We've seen David Moyes try it. You can play him as a striker. Sometimes it will work, but there's got to be certain parameters, and playing him that particular way is not going to work. So, but look, hopefully Potter's found that out now, and he's now decided, right, I've got to play a striker, a proper striker. Hopefully that happens. It needs to happen for Ferguson today, because I've got to say, and I feel sorry for him, because he just wanted to play football. And we were never in the meeting. None of us were in the meeting, but you get the impression we promised him he could play football. But he can't. Potter now, he's painted himself to a corner. If come the 1st of April, when we play Wolverhampton Wanderers, he has Ferguson and Fullkrug fit, he can't pick Ferguson over Fullkrug for all the reasons that I've already explained. He's going to end up annoying someone. Look, maybe that's just part of management. Maybe it is. But I do feel sorry for Ferguson. I really do. And I'd like him to play. Hopefully he will. There you go. But yeah, it's not even... It is a bit of a weird one. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Just wouldn't make any sense to continue playing him, which I do think is a massive shame.